Here we go. Welcome into Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you. A lot to get to on today's show. Talking about a potential trade idea that would send Tobias Harris as well as Matisse Thybulle to the Dallas Mavericks. And, of course, we'll hit on the Sixers' new arena proposal. Going to go through some pluses of putting an arena in Center City, but also some of the downsides of taking an arena outside of South Philadelphia in the sports complex, which is really just such a great element of the city of Philadelphia. But first, if you're subscribed to the channel and you continue to support everything that we do, I want you to get into the comment section right now and type real one. It was just our 1-year anniversary of launching Philadelphia 76ers Now. We've been able to grow at a rapid rate. We're going to continue to do so, and I greatly appreciate all of your support. We, of course, hit you with news, rumors, analysis, consistent coverage, but also we do show love to some of our loyal subscribers and all of the real ones. Back the other week, I had told you, send me a picture of you rocking and rolling with the Sixers, representing this basketball team, and showing your love for the 76ers. And a couple of people hit me up on Twitter and IG with some of those photos. Drew Gorman going with the Allen Iverson crossover here. Alonzo Duncan looking really fresh in the white Sixers getup. He's got the button-up as well as the pants. And then Sean Cooper with the selfie here. Sixers hat rocking. And I really like that Spectrum line that the Sixers were able to trot out last year. I'm looking forward to their new uniforms this year with the City Edition. If you want to submit your photos of you repping the Sixers, being a real one as a loyal subscriber to 76ers Now, you see the Twitter and Instagram handle right here. It's @Chase_Senior. Like we've been doing over the last couple of weeks, we'll get you featured on the show. So we start off with this. Tobias Harris, could he be the centerpiece in a trade that would send him to the Dallas Mavericks? NBA Trade Alerts on IG mocked a blockbuster Harris trade to Dallas, which would bring a lot of players to Philadelphia. It's intriguing to a certain degree, but also I have some questions. I'll, of course, relay all of my thoughts. So here's that trade idea. Mavs receive Tobias Harris and Matisse Thybulle. Over the last calendar year, both of them have been involved in some of these trade rumors and trade discussions, and the same can be said on the Mavericks side of this equation with Tim Hardaway Jr., Reggie Bullock, as well as Dwight Powell. Tim Hardaway Jr. coming off a lost season in which he injured his foot. Reggie Bullock had shared on his IG story from a fan saying that he was going to get traded to the Sixers. Obviously, that hasn't happened yet. And then Dwight Powell would be able to be the backup big behind Joel Embiid and actually be a pretty solid backup big because that's been an area of need and a hole for the Sixers roster over the last couple of years outside of Andre Drummond. My take when I think about that trade, the Sixers lose a couple of things: offensive playmaking and defense. Toby is a better defender than what people give him credit for, and Matisse Thybulle has made it to 2 All-NBA defensive teams over the last 3 years. But also in exchange, they do get some streaky shooting that I would want to be a little bit more consistent. Hardaway Jr. hot and cold. The same can be said for Reggie Bullock, but they do get a backup big. I would probably pass on the trade offer, but it's intriguing because you surround Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, James Harden with a lot of shooting on the perimeter. Now, let's pivot more so to Tobias Harris here. He would be the centerpiece of this trade, and he is a player who's overpaid, but he does bring you some value. 17 points per game last year, a little less than 7 rebounds. I talk about him being a better defender than what people acknowledge. 48% from the floor and respectable numbers from 3. Outside of a couple of shaky games after that James Harden trade, I thought that Harris ended the season really well. He was playing more aggressive, more assertive, more downhill. That carried over into the playoffs, but he just doesn't really move the needle sometimes in some big moments, and sometimes he just doesn't play his best basketball when the going gets tough. Now, when you rank the players in this trade as well, Sixers will be losing the top guy in Tobias Harris among all of the players involved in this potential trade. Tim Hardaway Jr. is second. 2 years ago, he was a nice little running mate for Luka Doncic and is a good scorer and three-point shooter off the bench, but sometimes that consistency does wane. I like Bullock as a 3-and-D wing, and the Sixers have kind of lacked that since Robert Covington. Matisse Thybulle, we know about the defensive upside, defensive ability. It's elite. But the fact that teams don't even respect the three-point shot is certainly a problem, as he got played off the floor in the playoffs against the Miami Heat. Then Dwight Powell, fifth best player, but a very good and viable backup center for Joel Embiid, a guy who started a lot of games for the Mavs last year. So who do you think wins this trade? Get into the comment section, let me know. M for Mavs, 76 for the Philadelphia 76ers. Voice your opinions on this subject matter and get those votes in, because I always appreciate Philadelphia's basketball knowledge. We have a great deal for you thanks to today's sponsor, Fanatics. This Allen Iverson Mitchell & Ness old school jersey was $130. It's now on sale for just $91. You see the link at the bottom of your screen. Utilize that to your advantage so that you can save money and get a great deal on this classic thread from Mitchell & Ness. It's chatsports.com/Iverson. Here's the deal with this jersey. It's only available as we record this for the rest of the day on Friday. So act quickly. It's the summertime. We're kicking it by the pool. Just the other week, I was at a pool here in Dallas, Texas, rocking a different Allen Iverson throwback jersey. It's a good look by the pool, especially during the summertime. Then when it gets a little bit colder, you throw the hoodie underneath the jersey. You rock that to a Sixers game at the Wells Fargo Center, which could then be soon an arena in Center City. I'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. Speaking of that new arena, so it's going to be called 76 Place if it actually is built, if it actually does happen. There are a lot of city permits that have to take place. There are a lot of other steps that have to be made and have to be taken in order for the Sixers to move their home from South Philadelphia in the sports complex to Center City. Now, according to reports, according to the initial plan, the Sixers are looking to build this new arena for the 2031-2032 season. Sounds crazy to say those numbers because I've never uttered those future years before, but that's when the lease expires at the Wells Fargo Center and they go up Broad Street to Center City. More info on 76 Place. Where would it be? Between 10th and 11th Street on Market Street, which is in the Fashion District in Center City, Philadelphia. A lot of people are wondering, how would it be funded? Because oftentimes, a lot of these stadiums, a lot of these arenas, you get taken out of your taxes, right? And you have to pay if these are publicly funded. But this would be privately funded. So the city of Philadelphia and the residents don't have to pay a dime for the construction of this new home potentially. Construction would start in 2027, and then obviously the Sixers would move there about 4 years later in time for that aforementioned season. There are pluses and minuses with moving an arena to Center City. This is an experiment. This is a plan that has worked elsewhere in America. Madison Square Garden, right in the heart of Manhattan. The Chase Center, which is where the Warriors just moved, is in San Francisco, right downtown. So you're able to really, by moving an arena in downtown, you just have access to all these other elements in the city. It's in the hub of Philadelphia, adds life to the city of brotherly love. It can also create jobs and improve the economy in an era of inflation where Philadelphia definitely struggled throughout the coronavirus, but they're starting to bounce back a little bit. Surrounding development would certainly improve. It would have to, because the arena has to be in a desirable location. It already is in Center City, but it would even make Center City even better. And it's easily accessible for city residents because you take the subway there, you take an easy Uber or a cab, there's a train that you can also take, and the walk isn't that far to get to 10th and 11th and Market Street. There are minuses, too, that come into play, and a lot of people are fired up. I saw a bunch of IG polls. You like it? You don't like it. A lot of people don't want to move from South Philadelphia. Why? The sports complex is incredibly unique. Across the United States, there are very few sports complexes in which every single arena and stadium are within a mile of one another. And having Lincoln Financial Field, Citizens Bank Park, the Wells Fargo Center, Xfinity Live, all in this epicenter right off I-95 creates a really great atmosphere to tailgate. You have a lot of space. It's somewhat easily accessible. After games, it can get a little bit messy, but it is a wonderful spot to tailgate, create these memories. And then if you want to go to one game and then go to another game if they're overlapping, or head to Xfinity Live, you can do that as well. The unknown part of this, traffic patterns. You try to leave the Wells Fargo Center on some nights. There's only really one way to get to I-95, and it can get really congested. If you move to a place like the Navy Yard, do you extend the subway line? That's also part of this. And then if the arena is in Center City, you have the subway there, which runs along Broad Street, which is 15th Street technically, and you can easily walk to 9th and 10th and Market. But for outside residents, where do you park? Is it going to be a mess getting right into downtown Philadelphia? Because that area does get congested as well. The underrated plan is something that the city of Philadelphia and the Sixers had polled people about. They asked for a couple of locations and where fans would like to see a new arena built. I think instead of an arena in Center City, which I actually do like the idea, as evidenced by the pluses that I threw out there, an arena near the Navy Yard, right along the waterfront, right along the river, would be awesome. If you've ever been to PNC Field in Pittsburgh, the fact that the baseball stadium and the football stadium are right on the river with all those bridges, it's really cool. You think of PNC Field, which is formerly PNC Field, I believe, AT&T Stadium in San Francisco, where the San Francisco Giants play. It's right on the bay. So having those waterfront stadiums and arenas are also pretty neat as well. That could also be a plan in Philadelphia as well to kind of develop the waterfront along the Navy Yard and then down that entire stretch. So I've kind of relayed my thoughts on what I think about the idea. I kind of like it. Losing an arena in the sports complex would certainly hurt because I love going down there. You hang out there all throughout the day, and it's incredible. But what do you think? Voice your opinions in the comments section. I really do value your responses here because I want to gauge where Philadelphia is at. Almost everybody who's watching has actually been to a Sixers game. So where do you want the arena? SP for keep it in South Philly. CC for Center City. Let me know in the comments section. Appreciate all of you for watching today's show, and I hope y'all have a great weekend.